Welcome to Bible Prophecy Now with Rabbi Joe Bell. In this program, Rabbi Bell presents a clearer understanding of prophecies, past, present, and future. In this time of utter confusion and dread, tune in to Bible Prophecy Now with Rabbi Joe Bell for greater insights of the truth of God's Word and God's prophetic timing. Now join us and let's learn together. And now, Rabbi Joe Bell.
Shalom. This is Rabbi Joe. Welcome to Bible Prophecy Now. We have a special edition today. We have a very special guest. Rabbi Jonathan Cahn is with us today, and we're here at the Meadow View Conference Center in Kingsport, Tennessee. And we're just glad that you're with us today, and we're glad to have you, Rabbi Jonathan. God bless you. It's great to see you. Great to see you, brother.
Likewise.
Rabbi Cahn and I have known each other for a long time, at least probably going close to 20 years. We tend to have rooms at a conference we go to that they always put us right near each other. And so I've been watching his children grow up, and I remember when he got married and all these things. And I even remember back when you used to drive a white Ford Taurus.
Absolutely correct. How do you know that?
I got
that as one of our congregants knew I needed a car, and they gave me that. They gave me their car, and so I was driving that for a whole while. Yeah.
I watched you get out and unload your stuff, and you were right above me or below or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's how far back.
Yeah.
That I remember.
That's correct. Good memory.
And I was there when you originally did the Harbinger.
Yeah.
At the Messiah conference.
Yeah.
I think it was 2009.
I did the original, then I did a sequel to it.
Okay.
2009,
okay.
And then probably 2005 is probably when I did the first one.
Probably heard that too, but
yeah.
But the one I remember
that became the Harbinger. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So that was, that was the only message that I ever listened to. Everybody would buy all the CDs. That's the only CD I ever listened to. I just kept listening and listening.
Oh.
I got to confess, I've not listened to most of the CDs I bought, or DVDs, or CDs, whatever that I bought, but I listened to that one.
From the conference.
From the conference.
Yeah. Oh, I'm honored.
And so I ran out and got that book.
Yeah.
When it came out, and
that was at that. I believe it was at that conference that the Lord really said, okay, because I always knew I was supposed to write a book. I write books. I always knew that. But I never had time. I felt in the ministry I never had time until the Lord just said, just do it. But it was then, after that when I shared that second part of the Harbinger, that I said, this is the book you have to start. This is the first book you have to write. It was I believe it was at that conference, and then I wrote the Harbinger, starting the next year. Pretty much the next year.
Did you know to write it in third person? Did you just do that yourself, or did somebody tell you?
I originally wrote the Harbinger straight out nonfiction, because it's all the books I do are revelations of real things.
Yeah.
It's reality. But then after I finished it, the Lord said, okay, now rewrite the whole thing with a story. And I remember it was like in one split second. I mean, he told me, and then the whole story came to me like in 2 hours, the whole story, the prophet, the seals, all that. And so I rewrote it. I think like the Lord uses parables and stories to communicate, deep things, So when I started writing the Harbinger like that, it's a prophet speaking to a man called Nuriel, and there's these 9 seals.
Where did you get the name Nuriel?
From there's an actual seal, because it came to me to do it with these prophetic seals, like ancient seals. And there is one ancient seal that they actually found, which is the seal of Baruch, the scribe of Jeremiah. They found the actual seal of him, bearing the Bible out, and it's Baruch, son of Neriah, which means the fire of God. Well, another form of that is Nuriel, and the man who is Nuriel, his real name is his real name was Baruch. You find that at the end of the book.
Okay.
So that became the real seal of Baruch became the center of the story, became really the beginning of the story.
Gotcha.
So
the scribe is the narrator.
Yeah. He doesn't.
He's the character. He's the main character.
Yeah. And it's from it is. He's telling the story to a woman named Anna Goren. and he's telling about the prophet and how it all began with the seals, and how the prophet how he had to unlock the mystery of each one in New York City, one thing another. And as soon as I started writing like that, it was the easiest thing I ever did. The book wrote itself. As soon as I started writing with the voice of the prophet, voice of Noriel, wrote itself. It was every time I sat down, I never wrote a book before in my life. Every time I sat down, like half a chapter was done. Easiest thing I ever did. Once I wrote like that, And so of the books I've written 10 books now.
Yeah.
Actually 11, but the 11th hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
But the 10 out of the 10 books, 4 of them are written with story. It's all, again, they're all real, all revealing real mysteries, but 4 of them do it through stories. And the other 6 do it straight on. This next one that I've just finished, but it hasn't come out, is going to be through a story. It's one of the biggest mystery, a colossal mystery, and there's so much revelation, but it's told through a real, probably the most involved story I've ever written. So it's going to the printer right now, Joe, as we're talking.
And it's going to be released in September, right?
The September 1st. So really at the end of summer, at the end of August, they'll probably be able to the things. But it's called The Altar of Pergamon.
The Altar of Pergamon.
Pergamon, and in the the subtitle is The Mystery of the Dark Angel and the Future of the World. Wow. And it is like so massive. And I'm not doing this for this, but since we brought it up, it's on. They literally.
No rules.
No, I'm telling you that it's going to go into the printer. But if you go on Amazon or go online right now, you'll see it, and people are already ordering it. They're going to be the first to get it, but you can even order it. So, but we didn't have any notes here, so we're just going to the printer. But what I'm really excited about is that with this one, people who don't know the Lord at all, people who could be against the Lord. It doesn't matter. This is something that will draw them in, like the Da Vinci Code did in a bad way.
Yeah.
This is like people can give it to people because people are like, whoa, what is this? Like a story? What is it? It's like So yeah. So I think it's it's the Altar of Pergamon. So I think it's yeah. I don't know if there's ever been a book with that title. So if it says, it's got to say Jonathan Cahn. So if you go on there, make sure you don't do the wrong one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is say again.
The Altar of
Pergamon.
Yes.
The Altar of Pergamon. So folks, get Jonathan's book. You can pre-order it on Amazon, Walmart.com, probably Target.com, and other vendors, probably books.
Yeah, all of them.
All the booksellers.
Yeah.
And all the big department stores and eBay probably.
Yeah, you're probably, and I'm not saying because but you probably want to get it for people in your life. You can get it and see it first, but I believe it's going to be like used powerfully for that. So
Amen.
yeah. God is amazing. He never stops with mysteries. I mean, I was thinking, Lord, am I going to run out? It never runs out. It's the Lord.
So speaking of running out,
yes.
How do you not run out? What keeps you going?
The Lord,
I mean, you go. You're constantly. I mean, you did a tour. We talked about recently.
Yeah, Book of Revelation, Footsteps of Paul.
Okay,
yeah,
and then you spoke not long ago in at
Washington.
In Washington,
the
but
National Cathedral.
Down in Cleveland, Tennessee, not long ago,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
and then and then you traveled from Washington at the National Cathedral
Yes.
and came to us.
Yes.
And you're going to do the
then we're-
conference here, and then you're
Yes.
going to go to Jacksonville,
Florida. Yes.
Florida.
Yes.
How does that affect your family?
Well, when my oldest son, who's now 16, Eliel, was younger, he said, "Dad, we're going to surprise you." He says, "We're going to have a surprise for you. We're going to make the house look like a hotel room, so you feel at home." But the thing is, when I'm home, see, I work from home. So when I'm home. Meaning, I mean, even at Beth Israel, the congregation, I don't have an office there. I never did. So I work from home. So I'm with the family, and so when I'm home. So when I'm away, I'm away. I try to, pace it. Sometimes I'm away for 2 days and come back in the middle of the week, or 3 days and come back. Sometimes it's like on the weekend like this, it'll be a like 5 events or 6 events, at once. But I try to group them together so I can be home, So I'm home as well, But they know it's for the Lord, Except I just heard my littlest one now, who's 7, Mishael.
Okay.
He just said to my wife, he said, "Daddy goes on the plane all the time. He's going to places. It's vacation. It's not fair that he's on vacation all the time. And I got to talk to him. That's not quite it.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. But,
Yeah.
so you're, what's it like living a life of such constant travel and so many people in your life, meeting people, going everywhere? How has that changed your life? I mean, when I first heard of you, you were running the congregation
Beth Israel
in
Wayne, New Jersey.
and you had a large congregation back in the late '90s. You didn't really know me, but I knew who you were. You were friends with Jan Rosenberg, and I think you came. I was at Jews for Jesus in New York City then, and
You were just really?
One of the Rosenbergs was visiting with you, or had gone to see you, and was talking about you.
Okay, there's also another Jan Moskowitz.
Oh, Jan Moskowitz.
With Jews for Jesus.
Yeah, I worked with him.
Yeah.
And before he, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
And he was a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
He was just creative.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I learned so much from them. So. But anyhow, so I knew about you with Two Nice Jewish Boys.
Yeah.
You had a radio show back in the 90s and early 2000s.
That's
so
right.
you've been around for quite some time.
I have.
But then your life took off like a rocket. And how did you handle that?
Well, and it's interesting you said that, like the way it happened. I mean, because I've been ministering for years. I mean, when I was maybe a year old in the Lord.
Yeah.
I was at a Bible study with a pastor leading a Bible study, new believers, and the pastor said, I can't do it anymore. And so they came to me and they said, we want you to lead it. So I was a year old in the Lord. I said, Lord, how do you know? And that's how I actually started, doing Bible study, from ages past, was doing that all, and the Lord just kept giving me revelation, and so I always knew this. I mean, I'm not supposed to be doing what I'm doing. So it wasn't, say like it's overnight, but it was. I was ministering for years, for decades, before I wrote the first book, and I always knew I was supposed to write the book, never had time because of ministry. But then the Lord just said, just write it. I'll take care of the time. You do the thing. So when, and this will kind of answer, one part of it too, because when I finished writing the Harbinger, I went to the airport. Traveling, I was asked to go to speak at Promise Keepers in Dallas by Raleigh, Washington, who we all know. And and my wife says, you got to do it. You haven't been doing a lot. You haven't been like traveling lots to do it. So I did. So it was it turned out the week that I finished the book, The Harbinger. But I had no publisher. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to do anything.
Right.
And so I went to the airport, and there were some people telling me, oh, you got to make a name. People, they know you in the Messianic movement, but they don't know you in the publishing world. So you got to make a name for yourself. You got to brand yourself. I said, I'm not branding myself. I'm not a cow. I'm not going to brand myself. And I'm actually grieved by hearing this. So I'm at the airport and I bow my head. I'm in Charlotte, which I just came from here from Charlotte. I'm at Charlotte Airport. I bow my head.
Maybe it's a new beginning today.
Maybe so. And I said, Lord, I said, the Harbinger is your word. It's not man. You don't need agents. You don't need anybody. You know how to get words out, Lord. So you do it by your hand. I look up. There's a man sitting to my left. The man sitting to my left turns to me and he says, so what's the good word? And I'm thinking, what's the good word? I said, God loves you. I witnessed him. He says, I know that, but what's the good word? I'm thinking, and so I'm sharing with him. I'm trying to. I realize he's witnessing to me. We both realize until we realize we're both saved. Then he turns to me and says, Jonathan. He says, you've written a book. This book is of God. God is going to take it and spread it across America and the world. He said, you've done things, but it's nothing compared to what you are going to do. He said, you've been known, but it's nothing compared to how you're going to be known then. He said, I see you. He says, you're like sprinting you're running up a stairway. Like suddenly you're known. Like you said, like suddenly you're rocking. It was like overnight. It was overnight, but it's after many years,
Yeah.
And
it was a long time coming. You were like you weren't a starving artist, but I think of a starving artist like forgive me, unbelievers, but like a rock band that's trying to make it, and they're eating, potato chips and pizza scraps. Because,
but I'm saying I was blessed. I wasn't.
You weren't that bad.
I wasn't trying to make it either. No,
you weren't even trying.
I wasn't even trying. I was trying to do what God called me to do, but I always knew I was supposed to write the book. But then suddenly, the guy in the airport starts handing me $100 bills, and from his thing, and he says, God's going to multiply your reach 100 times, and turns out, now I don't know, Joe, I don't know if you're into football or not, but for those who are watching, there's one of the most famous catches in football. It's called the helmet catch by David Tyree, New York Giants. And that is, he catches it's a Super Bowl.
I've seen it.
He catches the ball in his helmet. Well, people don't know, David Tyree is a believer. He loved the Lord. And he was praying, Lord, football is one thing, but I want to spread your word. I want to glorify you. And before he went on that game, a guy gives him a prophecy saying God is going to cause something to happen that's going to cause you to, give the word, testify to the word. So it happens. He knew it was going to happen. The helmet catch happens. It was a miracle. Changes. They win the Super Bowl, and because of that, he writes a book where he glorifies God, and he does it. And he mentions the guy's name who gave him that prophecy.
Yeah.
Well, that guy who gave him that prophecy is now the one sitting next to me at the airport. And he said, as soon as he sat down, he said, God said, you have to speak to this man. And now he's sitting down just when I'm praying that prayer. Lord, you do it by your hand, okay? And so he turns, the Lord says, speak to that man. And he says, Lord, I'm not doing it. He says, look at him. He's Jewish, and he's wearing black. He's probably Orthodox. He'll kill me. He'll kill me. And then he said he was literally gripped with pain until he opened his mouth and spoke to me. And so because David Tyree wrote the book and mentioned that guy's name, that guy was put in touch with the publisher. And then all of a sudden the publisher calls me because he says, we heard what happened at the airport. We heard about this thing called the Harbinger. We have no idea what it is, but we're interested. And that is how the Harbinger went forth to the world.
Wow.
So it was a God thing that suddenly everything changed, but I knew it was coming.
So did you know as a child, even before you were a believer, did you know that one day you were going to be famous?
I kind of felt that. I had a feeling there was something big that God wanted me to do when I believed in God as a little kid. Then I became an atheist, and then God had to save me. But I had a sense that this is like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I had a sense like at times like there was always like there was like a typewriter and God was typing and giving me like thoughts, and that I was supposed to do something. I didn't know what that was, and I didn't really know the Lord.
Yeah.
But it's like He makes us for a purpose. All of us, we all have a calling. And to find it is the greatest thing. To fulfill it is the greatest thing. But that's, no one's ever asked me that. But I did have a sense that there was something, but I never knew what it was.
The reason I ask you that is when I was 12, I was at summer camp, where a lot of our people go in the summers.
I went to summer camp when I was 12.
Which camp did you go to?
Nokomis. Named after a lot of them named after Indians, but they're all Jewish.
Okay, yeah.
It was like a.
Is it in Maine?
No, it was upstate. It was New York.
Okay.
Upstate New York, and it was kind of like a fresh air fund for Jewish kids.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't all Jewish.
I went to Walt Whitman.
That's very different. That's not Indian at all.
It was a big painting of Walt Whitman in the dining hall, and it was a beautiful camp in New Hampshire, run by Jewish people, who were kind of part beatnik and part Jewish, and so we would have Shabbat sing along, doing like Pete Seeger songs, but also doing the Kiddush on Friday nights. It was a blast. Called Camp Walt Whitman, but he never had anything to do with it. I don't know why they called it Walt Whitman. There was a reason, but anyway, that's why the reason I asked, and I mentioned camp, is because one night we were going to bed in camp when I was 12. I was not a believer. And we would tell stories. The campers would tell stories, and this one kid from Alan Lipper from New York, he told us about thermonuclear war. He was this rocket scientist kid. I'm 12 years old, and he's telling us about thermonuclear war, and he's telling us that the Russians can get us right there in the woods of New Hampshire. I'm up in the middle of nowhere in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And I believed it, that they could get it, and I had a nervous breakdown. I saw in my mind, a nuclear explosion. It was the prophetic in me came alive in that moment. It was, looking back, I believe what it was a prophetic revelation that was happening to me when I was 12. And my little mind couldn't comprehend what was happening to me. Yeah. And I ended up going into a massive depression. I had to leave camp a week later. Couldn't find a safe place. Thank God I came out of it, and then I got saved, 20 years later. Okay. 18 years later when I was 29.
Okay.
But it really messed me up for many years. I was on antidepressants, and God delivered me from all that when I got saved.
Yeah.
But that's why I ask you if that question,
Yeah.
did you have any
Yeah,
early...
I just had a sense that there was something big, great, and had something to do with God and, revealing. But then again, I went through years being an atheist, and then the Lord had to have me hit by a train in order to come to the Lord.
That's right. You almost died.
Yeah. All right, I'll say, when I was 8 years old, I'm in Hebrew school, and that's where I became an atheist, because I didn't see I heard about the God of the Bible who moved and spoke, but in the Hebrew school, that never happened. It was tradition and liturgy, and so I said, I don't see any sign of that God, and so I became an atheist. But then at 8 years old, as time went on, I said, atheism doesn't work. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a cause behind the universe. There's got to be a reason for this, and so I started seeking for books on everything, truth, science, religion, UFOs, Nostradamus, the occult, every single thing.
So you were searching.
Everything. One day I picked up a book. I thought it was a UFO book. It was a book by Hal Lindsey called The Late Great Planet Earth. And it's all about the prophecies of the Bible coming true. And the thing is, like, the Lord, he knew what he was doing. Because the Lord, he got me through the back door, because I didn't even realize I was being opened up, because I was seeking that. And then it said, is this the generation that Jesus and Moses foretold? I think, okay, Jesus has been in all the other books, the occult books, the UFO books, everything. Everybody talks about Jesus. And so, I started, okay, wow. And I started looking in our Bible at home, which is the Hebrew Scriptures, about the prophecies of the end times, about Israel coming back in the world. It's all there. Then I started reading the prophecies of the Messiah. He's going to come and die for our sins, and he's going to come on a donkey. Jerusalem, that's Jesus. I'm thinking, how did all this Catholic stuff get into our Bible? And so God was drawing me, and I'm becoming like, wow, no, like I'm opening. The one who was known as the atheist, and so I'm opening. And it was never an issue about that. There's an issue about you can't do it because you're Jewish. It's like I knew this was the most Jewish thing in the world. I knew it was the most Jewish thing in the world. I never felt so alive to be Jewish, and that like there was a purpose for it. There's a prophetic purpose for it. So I'm like, wow, and I'm telling, but I wasn't saved. I didn't give my life. I didn't want to. I had a rock band and had other things. I didn't want to give that up. I thought
you weren't ready.
I thought if I come to the Lord, I have to join a monastery and that's it. So but I'm telling my friends about it, and I'm winning them to the Lord. But I'm not saying. In high school we had a English class, speech class. We had to speak on. I'm preaching to them about the end times. And so finally I realized, wait a minute. It's not just I can't just be telling people about. Like, where are you at with this? If he comes tomorrow, where are you at? You're not right with him. And so I knew that, but I didn't want to do it. So I made
You wanted them to do it, but not you.
Yeah. So I did something that's very, very Jewish. I made a deal with God. I said, if you give me a long life, I'll accept you on my deathbed. And so right after I prayed that, or soon after, I was almost killed. First time it was a car accident. Almost killed. Miracle that I wasn't killed. Absolute miracle. But I said, okay, that's good. Then a few months later, I'm in a Ford Pinto, which used to blow up. I'm driving, heading to a train track.
Was it brown?
Yes. Why?
I remember brown Ford Pintos.
It was a brown Ford Pinto. Brown Ford Pinto, little car that used to blow up. And I'm heading to a train track at night. There's no protection. There's no limits there. And people had been struck on that thing. And so I see a light, but people are crossing on the other side. So I figure, well, either it's broken or the train already passed, but I'm not going to go unless so I said, okay, let me look. So I go up, I look, but I couldn't tell where I was because the road was kind of ravaged, damaged, and it was just two rails at an angle, So I look and I see a light. It's a train. It doesn't look like it's moving much because it's coming head on. I'm on the track. I wasn't putting it together, but it was at an angle though too. So I said, just to be safe, let me try. But in the mirror now, there are headlights. So I said, okay, I'll back up a foot, or so. I thought I was just being extra cautious. I was still in the path of the train. So the train came, smashed into the Pinto. The Pinto went up like aluminum foil. And the only thing I could do at that moment was call out to God, which I did. The car was destroyed.
Wow.
And I didn't get a scratch. And so I said, Lord, can we renegotiate? I have a new deal for you. I said, I'll accept you, not at the end of my life. I'll accept you when I turn 20. Just don't kill me until then. And so just give me that time. And so I was 19. It was about 8 months away. On my 20th birthday, because I made that agreement with God. I knew how to keep my word. On my 20th birthday, I didn't know how to get saved. I was reading the Bible, and I'm listening to some Christian radio, and I remember from Hebrew school, Moses met God on a mountain, Elijah did. So I said, let me find a mountain. So I found a mountain at night. I drove up, never been there before. I drove to the mountaintop, found a rock, a flat rock. I kneeled down, and I gave my life to the Lord on my 20th birthday. It says that Jews require signs. I require to train. We need a lot. And I found out, and later on, they may not, I'm a Kohen. I'm from Aaron. I'm from that line. They serve God as priests. And I'm reading, like years later, in the time of the temple, the sons of Aaron would begin serving the Lord.
Can I just explain that to the people?
Yeah.
Folks, if you're watching, so Cahn comes from the word Cohen or Kohen, which is the word for the high priest. So most Jews with the name Cahn, Cohen, Cohn, names like that are considered to be descended from the high priests. And Levitical Levites, people with the name Levi or Levi or Levine, are believed to be descendants of the Levites. And so that's where Rabbi Cahn gets the concept that he's descended, and he probably is. I'm not saying he is, that he's not, that he's descended from the high priests.
Well, the high priest being Aaron, and these were the priests.
Yeah.
And they've actually they did DNA, and of their DNA studies, they found out, this is only in the last, years and years, they found out that people who are called, have the name or the tradition are likely to have a particular gene. And the gene is called the priestly gene, or the priestly haplotype, it's called. And they have this gene, and they traced it back, and they said that from genetics that this would have been held by one man about 3,000 years ago, which would be Aaron. But anyway, growing up, my father told me, we're from this thing, and my father's name, his Hebrew name was Aaron. It was Aaron Cahn, or Arno Cahn, which is Aaron the priest. And he was named after another Aaron the priest going back.
So was my dad.
Yeah, and so cool. And so I'm reading later on about that the sons of Aaron began serving the Lord when they turned 20 on their 20th birthday. Wow. So I was just looking for a time. I was just buying time with a big number. But God knew from the beginning it was on my 20th birthday I began serving the Lord.
Praise God. Well, let's shift gears a little bit, and let's talk about, I want to go back to the Harbinger, and there's a lot of stuff going on with the economy, and you talked a lot about the Buttonwood Agreement and the financial foundations of this country and Wall Street and in the Harbinger. And I just what's your sense of looking back on that, where we're at today with $40 trillion of debt and all this battling between the president and the Federal Reserve Bank, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, one of the things it says in the Bible that to Israel, but it is a template, and America was, for those who don't know, was founded after the pattern of ancient Israel by the original Puritan founders. All did so, and one of the blessings are, if you're following God, you will lend to many nations and not borrow.
You've been watching Bible Prophecy Now with Rabbi Joe Bell. Please join us next week at this same time and place for more regarding today's world events and prophecy. To contact Rabbi Bell, please go to www.forzionsake.org. Rabbi Bell's mailing address is For Zion's Sake Ministries, P.O. Box 1486, Bristol, Tennessee 37620. Until next week, Shalom.